So I'm going to talk to you about a few things. We only have a few minutes, so I've made an outline to make it easy for me to keep track. I'm going to start with the joy. That's why I have the outline. I'm going to start with the Halo Bash and move into what joy is and talk about creating joy. I really want to talk about this in the abstract more because I assumed that all of the more games industry folks would talk about it in the concrete. So let's jump right into it. The Halo Bash. When I was a kid, well, not really a kid, when I was in high school, one of my favorite memories was this event we called the Halo Bash. We would get 24 friends together, 4 Xboxes, 4 TVs, link them up together and play 16-player Cap the Flag until we all passed out or hated each other, whichever one came first. And it was awesome. It was so much fun. That was really before online gaming on the console was a thing. So it was our way of creating this big multiplayer experience in a small space, like in a small house, and I absolutely loved it. It's hard for me to think back to my childhood and to joyous experiences without thinking of the Halo Bash because it is really one of the best. It had everything that I wanted, making jokes with friends, staying up all night, hoarding the rocket launcher on Blood Gulch, you know, all the mainstays, the top hits, and I loved it, I really did. And I still play games a lot. I love games. I'm tertiarily involved with the games industry because of an organization that I started. But for me, a lot of the fun of multiplayer games has been, or a lot of the joy of multiplayer games, as we had the distinction earlier, has been taken away. And that's what I wanted to talk about tonight. So to talk about that, I really want to talk about what joy is or how I see what joy is. So for me, when I think of joy, and joy is a big part of my life, I go on stage and I tell jokes. That's my job, or as my dad calls it, when are you going to get a job? And I've been doing that for about 4 years now. And I just got back yesterday. I was in New York and I did 3 hours of comedy back to back to back, a whole day. It was incredible, and I'd never done that before, and I was terrified. And as soon as I got up and started doing it, it was just a whirlwind, and it was true joy. Like I really did feel that joy, and it was perfect because that's what we're talking about now. And it reaffirmed this idea in me that joy, when we think about it, or the way that I think about it, it's more about what it isn't than what it is. And I think of joy as being completely unencumbered. You can experience joy when you're fully unencumbered. And for me, it's like a Venn diagram, right? And oh, by the way, like everybody else, all my important information on the slides is at the bottom. So you're not going to be able to read any of that. So joy on the left, and then for me, these are some things that encumber me or make it so I can't experience joy. Things like grief, anxiety, and threat. And the gap between those two bubbles is very important for me. If the gap is big, I can experience joy. I feel unencumbered and I'm excited. I can run, so to speak, if you're a Skyrim player. But when I don't, when those two things overlap, when those twain shall meet, I have a hard time experiencing joy. And for me, online multiplayer games have become a lot more of the thing on the right and a lot less of the gap than what I remember being when I was playing Halo with my friends 15 years ago in our basement. For everybody, these two things are very different. For your joy is not the same as my joy. Another Venn diagram, if I can get that dude to go. Helpful. My joy on the left, your joy on the right, but there is the overlap. My joy, things that give me joy are things like hummus, not wearing pants, eating hummus pantsless. These are things that I really enjoy. Your joy, or John's joy in this case, is his speakers wearing pants. So I found a common ground here, and I put them on for the talk. And that's our joy. I assume by the awkward looks, some of you have that same joy, so you're welcome. We found some shared joy. I am pantsed. Usually when I'm in Austin, I'm at home, and at home means no pants. And now we found some not joy. We just found some uncomfortable. We went back over to my joy more and found less of that middle ground. Let's move away from the pants. All right, there's some shared joy again. So you see how that works. But what's interesting is that idea of being unencumbered is different for everybody. But the idea of unencumbered, that sensation of being able to feel joy, is something that we all universally can experience. And if we're in a shared experience, the only way for us both to experience joy is for us to find the common ground where we both have joy, or we're both able to feel unencumbered. So how do you create that experience? Well, I actually made a little algorithm for you. I wanted to say that I programmed it in JavaScript, but I would hate myself if I made that joke, because JavaScript is a terrible pun, and I didn't just say it twice, so let's move on. I was actually really proud of that joke. Thank you for the groan. My joy is you crying while I talk to you. So if joy is being unencumbered, and you agree with that, and my joy is not the same as your joy, then for us to experience unencumbered, or for us to experience joy, we have to find what our common joy is. That's a very roundabout way of saying that it's more fun if we can all have fun, or there's more joy in a shared experience if we can all have joy. And if that's not true, then we can just end this little thing right now, a few minutes early. Blink if you want to keep going. Still got, okay. Oh, that person blinked twice. I don't know if that means no. I'm not sure. I didn't vet out the rules. Need to get back to the user experience talk and figure out, we need to do a better job talking about the rules here. Rules, platinum rule. How many people have heard of the platinum rule before? Anybody? What couple, really? That's awesome. That's like never ever the case. Everyone's heard the golden rule. What's the golden rule? So creepy when it's whispered en masse. Treat other people how you want to be treated. Like a whole group of people, and then we start lighting candles, and it's getting really weird in here, and start treating each other how we want. No, the golden rule is like, everybody knows the golden rule. It's in every common religion. It's a thing that we all understand. It's actually something that guides a lot of our decisions. How many times have you ever thought, in your work or in your personal life, that wouldn't have made me mad, or that wouldn't have upset me? I would have loved if someone did that for me. That's the golden rule at work. And the golden rule is the thing that stands between us and joy in so many instances, especially when we talk about creating experiences for other people. Because if we're creating an experience for another person based on how we want to have that experience, we've failed. Stop, full stop, you've failed. If you're creating an experience for another person, you have to find out how that person wants to have that experience, and you need to create that experience for them. If you're creating a shared experience, you have to find what that common ground is, that middle of the Venn diagram before. You have to find the common denominator of what will create that joy, or the ability for those people to feel joy as a big group. So the platinum rule was coined, it's a term that was coined back in like the 90s by this guy Milton Bennett, and apparently it didn't get coined super hard. If that's a phrase, I'm not sure how you say that. Coiny, very coiny, I don't know. But yeah, he coined the term back in the 90s, and I love it. I didn't find out about it until about 8 years ago, but I've been like the platinum rule champion ever since. And as a comedian, as a person who's on stage a lot of the time, my life is the platinum rule. If I were just doing things that I enjoyed, I would have the job my dad thinks I have, which isn't a job. I would just be pantsless, eating hummus, crying, and being like, I love my life, which actually is what I do when I'm not on the road. Tears of joy, tears of joy. But the platinum rule is treat people how they want to be treated. It's not something that's often whispered en masse, but it's still an important thing. And it's a small change in words, but it's a huge change in the way that you interact with people, or in the way that you create experiences for people. And when you think of that Venn diagram, or that idea of these two circles, I have my joy, or things that bring me joy, you have the things that bring you joy, and if we're in a shared experience like we are right now, or if we're in a shared experience like we're playing a game together, finding that common ground are the ways where we will feel unencumbered as a group and be able to be truly joyful. And when I think about games, I can't not get emotional, because games are such a huge part of my childhood. For my brother and I, we were very much like the two circles that never the twain shall meet, but the only thing that brought us together was games. We played games from the NES all the way through the Xbox, and the only time we were ever able to get along with one another, or not want to choke one another, was when we could choke each other in the game. Like when we could fight electronically. It was awesome, and we loved it. So I'm so thankful to people who create games, and I'm thankful because games always were and are in so many ways a source of joy for me. Not the only source, but as everybody knows, you can play them pantsless, so that's the thing. I'm thankful for that. But I'll leave you with this one thought. If you can do nothing else in the experiences you create, or in the atmospheres that you create, do whatever you can to make the people who you have influence over feel completely unashamed of who they are. Thank you.